the music. You will be inspired to think higher, realize your gift. Join the music and Michelle and Gina. Turn this up and through your speakers is the music.
I am wondering if you all can hear me. We've been having some technical difficulties today with this streaming. Oh, Lord, have a mercy. Because I see people coming on. Oh, mercy.
When you get down with the music, behind the music, you will be inspired to think higher, realize your gift. Join the music and Michelle and Gina. Turn this up and through your speakers is the music. Oh, music.
Okay, so this is what we're going to do. T, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You can hear me. And I don't know what is happening. It is completely blank on this end. I'm complete. Now I'm starting. I see me. I don't know what just happened, you all. This kind of modern technology, we were having some issues with it beforehand when we were getting started. I need you all to let me know that you can hear me, that you can see me, that all is well. Some people drop some comments in the chat. Just say hello, how are you, whatever it is that you need to do so that I know that you are present with me, with us this evening, because what I don't want to happen is for you to miss out on this fantastic conversation with the Theodore Thorpe III. And so I'm getting some comments. Excellent. Thank you to Pam, I am, for that. And anybody else, please just drop it in there and that you can see clearly. I'm sorry that you missed the introduction of it. I should just go on back and play it again, but do y'all see how that did it all by itself? I tell you. Okay, so this must be a great conversation that is about to take place because the devil is a liar coming up in here and trying to mess with my show and having Theodore Thorpe on here with us. I just want to make sure that all is clean and clear. You know what, T? I'm bringing you in right now. I'm bringing you in right now because I don't know what is going on with this stuff. Hello.
Hello.
What's up?
What's up,
brother? Baklava.
Baklava.
I'm going to explain what baklava is to everybody, but you know what? While you are here, because I like it when I'm able to make the introductions, and then ta-da, here's our fantastic guest, and we're able to start, conversation with you. But hey, this is all about you, and why not?
Just I'm honored to be here.
To chat, and I'm honored that you're able to do this. So I called it the special airing of the Muses Behind the Music because, this brother has a schedule. And I just need him to know in front of everybody that's listening that I, Michelle Fowlin, did the best that I could to make sure that I was able to be a part of his schedule on today. Thank you. I'm just saying. That's what I did. And there go my glasses. I'm telling you, everything is Lord have mercy, Jesus. All right. You know what? I'm going to get started in here. T3, as I call him. Y'all know him as that too. But
Foul the first.
You are the first, T3. All right, and foul the first. I'm the first. You're the third. And I don't know where you got that from. I think that's because Tevin used to call me foul, and I used to say you and Tevin do the same thing, and you came up with a new name. All right, nobody else has the permission to call me that. Not a single soul. My brother here is a native of my good hometown. Of New York, but he's from Brooklyn and I'm from Queens. He went to the great Oakland University at the time, Oakwood. I'm sorry, Oakwood in Alabama. At the time, it was not university. It was
Oakwood College.
Just Oakwood College. When was that established as university for you all?
I believe it was established probably in 2007, maybe either 2007 or 2008.
Very fresh establishment
Yeah.
into a university, and well deserved to be called that because numbers, I'm sure, are just continuing to grow where it had to be changed into that. Got his undergraduate degree from Oakwood, and where the Aeolians are known and have made such great recognition for the overall university. And you were the student conductor, pianist. What else did you do there? You sang.
Whatever they asked me to do.
Oh, okay, right. That's basically how it worked. And then did your master's at Morgan. You know, I had Stanley on last week, so I need you as well to share a PG Nathan Carter story with us
A
later.
PG one? Okay.
I know, right? Share your best, because I know that you have some, because you've shared some with me. Got your master's with a concentration in choral and orchestral conducting. And from there, it has just been, on and on with the things and the people that you've come across. You have done The Wiz. I'm just going to name a few of the shows that you have been a part of, that you've been either the music director, artistic director for, just had a great involvement of leadership in these. Crazy for You, The Wiz, West Side Story. You've done Handel's Messiah, Fauré's Requiem, Dvorak's Te Deum. I mean, you've worked with Joyce Garrett, who you attend church with also. Everybody knows Dr. Joyce Garrett as one of the leading educators, music educators in the DMV. When I came here, that's all I kept hearing was her name, and she became a mentor and friend to me. And you are over at the historic Alfred Street Baptist Church under the great leadership of the Reverend Dr. Howard John Wesley. I swear over there, y'all, forgive me for this word, but y'all are so like hooked up tight. It almost feels like y'all are in some sort of extra. Yeah, I didn't use the cult word. I just
right.
extra extra religion over there. Y'all are some proud Alfred Street Baptist Church members. I must say that, and rightfully so, for the growth that is taking place over there. You are the artistic director of Men and Women of the Gospel under Washington Performing Arts, one of the nation's leading and prestigious arts presenters that we have today. And there's just so much that's happening with you. You are a teacher for, we used to call it the, what's the
used to be called T.C. Williams High School.
The new name that you all
now Alexandria City High School.
Okay. So you're there, and you've been there for what, a 10-year stretch now?
13
years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You've done some great things at that school and with the program. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that too. Just about being a phenomenal conductor, composer, arranger, pianist, singer. You've been doing a lot of singing lately, T. I'm watching you. What's happening, brother?
I just go where I'm called.
Oh,
I just do whatever they tell me to do.
oh,
I'm actually a little embarrassed. Well, not I'm a little, um, a little overwhelmed by all of the accolades. It's very humbling,
yeah.
honestly, and I'm just grateful
Yeah,
to be able
amen
to
to
be a
that.
part of it. Yeah,
God be praised for that. So, we can't do any of all of these things that I'm reading, and I haven't even read half of what's on my page
don't
without
don't
the
read anymore. Don't read
authority
anymore.
and of God. I don't read anymore. Okay. Well, I'm just saying we're going to get into conversation, so they're going to know you anyhow. And you know what I always want to start with is how it all started for you, because one of the things that I see that you left off is, and this is probably one of the greatest things about you, is that you're coming out of Caribbean background. And where's your family from? Not Jamaica, unfortunately, but
Unfortunately, right? Fortunately, um, my mom's side of the family hails from the island of Trinidad and Tobago,
beautiful.
and um, all my mom's side of the family is from Trinidad, and my dad's side of the family hails from Wilmington, North Carolina.
Okay.
Put those two together.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting combination. So it must have led to an interesting upbringing. When you have, I know the West Indian culture very well with both parents who hail out of Jamaica, and I know how they feel about education. And I know how they feel about the arts, which is probably quite contrary to most Caribbean households, where, especially the fathers, they will pull you away from doing anything in the arts. If you're a boy, did you grow up under those kinds of ideologies, although your dad was from the South?
Not particularly. We grew up in a more conservative household, um, where education was the key and was consistently and constantly stressed. Excellence was always stressed. Integrity was always stressed.
Yeah.
Character was always stressed. And your name and your word were the two things that was always stressed. And the one thing you did not do in a West Indian household, or in any household for that matter, was embarrass your family's name.
Come on.
And so you kind of lived with that through your upbringing.
Yes.
Um, but as far as the arts was concerned, I think my parents recognized it at a really early age.
Hmm.
Even though for me it was more certainly more of a hobby. Um, Earlier growing up, started at the age of 4 with the piano. Um, but oh wow, Gloria, now you're really making me embarrassed. um, but yes, so to Gloria's point, that was always the case. No matter where you go, you always respected your elders.
Absolutely.
Um, and so yeah, it wasn't that my parents dissuade me from it. But as you know, at that time it was more about sciences and um, business, and certainly when my parents sent me away to college, um, it was to get a degree in biology. I
Mm,
don't think they thought that I would be going into music. Certainly, music was part of it. If it wasn't a minor, it was certainly some way I was going to be involved in the musical aspect of my upbringing.
yeah.
Um, but I don't think they knew that it was going to. I don't think I knew, frankly, that it was going to be the profession.
Mhm.
So there were some specific things that happened on that journey that turned me to that passion.
So what was one of the things that took place for you? Because it, with working with young people, we get into these conversations with them all the time about finding your passion, or even them wanting to go into the arts and they don't have the support from home, or they're just fearful. What was that thing that triggered for you that said, this is where I'm supposed to be?
Well, I probably, like most, kind of fought it a little bit. because
Mm,
you have the voices in the back of your head that were always saying, well, that's nice.
yeah,
That's good to do something on the side, but how will you survive? How will you take care of yourself? How will you take care of your family? All of those different things that go into actually starting a profession.
sure.
And so I grappled with it a little bit. Certainly, as a biology major, and friends of mine will tell you we that lasted for. I think I lasted pretty long with music as a minor, but I didn't love everything about biology.
Yeah.
Um, I love certain things about biology, but I didn't love it enough to want to major in it,
Mhm.
and I did not know how to tell my parents, because that's what they sent me down there for. Certainly, they knew I was going to be involved musically, because you don't go to Oakwood and not be involved
Correct.
musically. But I don't think they thought, or even I thought, that making the decision to ultimately make music the major and then biology the minor, um, they were unsure. I don't think they tried to dissuade me, but they
Mm,
weren't sure. And you got to think this is like early 2000s.
mhm.
So I actually was going to head to dental school, believe it or not.
Oh, wow, that's
Um,
fun.
yeah, I was going to head to dental school. Wanted to take the debt and head to dental school, and had to find a way to tell my parents that I don't want to go to dental school.
Doing it, right.
um, but that I'm going to pursue the passion. And so, what I guess to your question, what moment or moments um, helped me realize that this was what I was supposed to do? It was probably my junior year, I want to say, and the conductor at the time, Dr. Lloyd Mallory Jr., who was our professor, had to be out
Mm,
for whatever reason, couldn't have rehearsal that evening, and we had a performance, the AOLins I'm speaking of.
mhm.
And as the student conductor, I had to lead rehearsals. Little did I know that I was going to have to conduct that concert, or that performance
Wow.
at Oakwood. And um, there was one particular person in the audience who came up to me and asked me if I was a music major. And I told him at the time I was thinking about it, but I wasn't sure how to tell my parents. And he said to me, "This is what you need to be doing, and
Mhm.
I'm going to speak life over that."
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
never forget that conversation. And so I just started making my way down to the office to make that switch. Um,
Right,
and what what's crazy is I didn't tell my parents.
right. No, I get that, right.
So
You
I
wanna
didn't
make
tell
the
them.
switch first.
Yeah, I thought maybe I could ask forgiveness
Right, right, right.
than permission. And I made the switch, and all of that junior year into senior year, it was a daily figuring out of how I'm going to tell them.
Mm,
I knew I could probably tell my dad and he would be okay.
yeah.
My mom was a little harder.
That's that Caribbean root right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. So that was an interesting those were interesting conversations to have.
Mhm, mhm. And no regrets whatsoever.
No,
So
none.
I'm gonna throw it out here right now because I wanna know, we just had Jason who left. What did you ever consider? I wanna I told you I was gonna
Oh,
throw
so
it out.
you gonna go right.
I'm going. Did you? And
Did
everyone's listening.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody's listening. I appreciate that, Michelle Fowler the first. Well, listen, Oakwood is an incredible place
Mhm.
that has a special place in my heart because I think I was able to learn so much there
Yeah.
and kind of stick to the motto of enter to learn and depart to serve.
Mhm.
So all of my professors there, all of my instructors there, um, who took the time to pour into me, are the reason who I am as an educator today. So there will always be a special place in my heart for my alma mater. So you never say no and you never say never.
Right.
Um, Timing is a different, um, is a different
Beast.
whole different
So, absolutely.
argument, right? And so, um, I was asked, and you're you're certainly not the first
Hmm.
to ask, and I'm sure you'll not be the last. But I think they are in good hands with Jeremy Jordan, who's a great friend. I think he's going to do incredible things there, and I think the baton has been passed.
Yes.
Jason, took the baton and really, as I like to say, made the Aeolians world renowned. I mean, we
Yeah.
said it a lot, certainly through our tenure and the tenure before us, and all of the directors before. And the Aeolians had been all over the world. But I think Jason really, with his creative genius, was able to um, take what was passed to him um, and bring it into the future and leave it in a way better place than he found it.
Is that an unusual position for the school, for the SDA faith, to be so publicly, for the lack of a better word to it, in the limelight? Was that part of what made it so special? Don't get me wrong, like the sound and what he's done was masterful on with the music end of it from what I could see outside in, but I also know that there's a history that goes behind that. Do
Yeah,
you?
certainly. I mean, the history is an ever evolving one,
Mhm.
um, because you're talking about a school that has a rich history, but a lot of what we're speaking musically and from a religious perspective was more so in the conservative realm.
Mhm.
And so the choir, although they toured and sang all over the world, were primarily for certainly the liturgy of the church and
Sure.
around other churches of like faith
Yeah.
um, across the nation and across the globe. I think to your point and to your question, yes, um, what Jason was able to do was to take it outside of that Seventh Day Adventist bubble, if you will,
Sure.
and shine a light um, on the school for the choir to truly be the school's ambassador
Yeah.
and to be its witness, um, to the gospel of Jesus Christ and what that means to actually be a Christian
Yeah.
and to open it up to a sphere that may have never, known the intricacies of that faith
Mhm.
simply by the ministry of the Aeolians.
So you grew up SDA yourself.
Hmm.
Did you ever feel that in your pursuit in the music field that you would end up having to stay into the church sector? And were or did you set your sights well before that you were going to go abroad? You needed this to be more than just this bubble.
That's a really interesting question. Because I think that during my tenure there in the Aeolians, we certainly toured
Hmm.
all over, but we toured churches of different faiths.
Hmm.
Um, and we toured both nationally and internationally. I went to Poland with the Aeolians. Um, and so going around to those several other um, denominations and several other places really kind of opened me up beyond that bubble
Hmm.
and saw that there was a world bigger
Yeah.
that needed to hear that same message. Um, but also, it also helped me make relationships that I still value to its core to this very day. And I think that was the best part that helped me a little bit once I graduated to kind of
Yeah.
spread my wings a little bit. And not feel that I couldn't make relationships and other partnerships um, with several people across the musical sphere.
Yeah.
And so doing that, because I grew up in Brooklyn, I left Brooklyn and went all the way to Huntsville. That
Yeah.
was a huge culture shock. Um,
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Just to see how people in the South were, you know? And so my experience there really helped cultivate um, how to build relationships and partnerships with several different people, several different walks of life.
That's the key. I remember a professor at Howard had shared that with me and basically surmised it by saying, Michelle, people really don't want to care about what you do on stage. They want to know off stage, do you really care about them? Building relationships. They'll give you the world if you learn how to build relationships, bring them into a certain part of you. And I never forgot that because it's so very true. And that's what gets us thriving. We're all in these various areas and walks in this journey of our careers, of our personal lives, and it's all built off of the foundation of solid relationships with people, whether new or old. So here it is that you did your master's in choral conducting and you chose to go into education. Why?
I think I chose to go into education because um, I quickly fell in love um, with the process of what education provides.
Oh, I thought you were about to
Um,
say I fell in love with Jennifer and I needed to go ahead and provide benefits. I mean, that's
well,
it too, right?
I was in education before I met my wife,
Oh,
um, but I fell in love with the process of education um, because I had great educators.
okay.
Um, and I fell in love with the process of building, growing, growth and learning over accolades and achievement. I fell
Mhm.
in love with that process, that daily process,
Yeah.
and watching young people grow every single day.
Yep.
Um, that is when I knew I had a purpose for for that field.
Mhm.
And so and then I ended up I became good at it.
Yeah.
Um, and then I wanted to learn more about it. I wanted to continue um, to grow and to sharpen,
Mhm.
to learn from others,
Mhm.
which still happens to this day. You never stop learning.
Never.
Um, and so that in itself is a reason to continue being an educator because you continue to learn and the students continue to teach you as you are teaching
Absolutely.
them. Yeah.
There are various levels of education. What would you prefer? Adults or children? Now, let me just say this.
Yeah.
Men and women of the gospel, all right, I know that you're listening, but it's like dealing with when people ask me, do you like middle school versus high school? Well, I work with children of the gospel and I have middle school students, but I'll take high school any day of the week. I know that that is the calling, that's the area dealing with young people like that, and I don't want to deal with nothing else. What
Yeah, setup.
I
I
mean,
saw how you slipped that in there. Because I do teach various learning levels,
yeah.
um, from high school to young adults to yep, see, um, to our seasoned um, folks as well. I
Yeah.
will say this. Yeah, I work with high school students every single day, and so that's kind of where I live in
Yeah.
that process. Um, so that's home for me.
Yeah.
But education is home for me. So
Mhm.
no matter what scenario or circumstance I'm in, you know, my choir members are always going to say you can't help but find yourself teaching.
Yeah.
That's where it's home. And so um whatever age group I'm working with, um the the end goal is still the same.
Mhm.
Growth and learning over time,
Yeah. That's
and
good.
enjoying that process um, more than the product.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what you bring from what I have witnessed in watching you. It doesn't matter who's in front of you. Yes, there is this level of I like how you put that the where you live, and it is where we live and breathe on this daily basis. And so there's a familiar what's that word? I can never say it. Familiarity,
Familiarity.
thank you. That thing right there. All right. That thing. And so it makes us very comfortable. in it, right? Where I know also me as an adult, and I sometimes don't always like me as an adult. I'm stuck in my ways, and then we find that a lot of those idiosyncrasies with other adults too. And so, the challenge to push through that sometimes the older I get, or I should say the younger that I get, the maturer that I get, I don't want to ever deal with that. And so I get it. I'm seeing you in all of these different platforms where you are also the artistic director for Men and Women. We talked about that at the beginning, and I hope some of you heard that if you didn't know. You have curated some really dope projects at Washington Performing Arts. And one of the things that I think is extremely memorable was the I Am a Man project. How did that birth in you?
Wow, that's a really good question. It started probably about 2 years prior to it ever being put on the and programmed on the stage.
Mhm.
Um, when we talk about as artists, it's our responsibility, as I'm quoting Nina Simone,
Mhm.
to reflect and represent the times that we're living in.
Yep.
And it couldn't be any more timely to have a conversation that does not end once the last um, note is sung,
Hmm.
but is a conversation that continues, one that we wrestle with some harsh and relevant truths,
Yeah.
um, but juxtapose that on the ability to still remain hopeful. And so that ended up birthing um, the reclaiming brilliance in the midst of brokenness. I
Yeah.
credit um, Dr. Raynetta Wiggins Jackson for that. Um,
She
and
always
so,
she can do a
oh,
title.
she
Can't she?
can.
My
Oh, she
God.
can. I
Yeah.
mean, we literally sat over and brainstormed over it for a few days, and we wanted to um, how to best juxtapose the Black experience.
Yeah.
That is one that is multi-layered,
Yeah, and
multifaceted.
that's very hard to do in
Yeah,
a short amount of time because there's so much to pull from
right.
and to look at. And I think that you executed that so well. The music was by.
Well, the music was by several different composers, but the one piece you're referring to is the Seven Last Words of the Unarmed,
Mhm,
which is composed by Joel Thompson from Atlanta. He composed this about several years ago, I think in 2015. A good friend of mine, Dr. Eugene Rogers, and the
mhm,
Michigan Glee Chorus premiered it along with the Sphinx organization
mhm,
um, to shed light on some real and relevant issues that we're dealing with when it comes to the killing of unarmed Black men.
mhm,
And so there were seven movements, each in tribute to the late great, Kenneth Chamberlain, Oscar
mhm.
Grant, Amadou Diallo,
Yeah.
Eric Gardner, Trayvon Martin, um, and several others that
Yeah.
didn't just stop with those names. There have been several names added since then.
Mhm,
Um, hey Lulu, what's up? Um, and so I had a uh, sort of tumultuous time wrestling how to um, unsterilize it,
mm,
how to um, keep it in its raw authenticity.
mhm,
And so we started with, fortunately, Reverend Dr. Michael Eric Dyson was able to make it and kind of set the whole atmosphere with his extemporaneous speech at the beginning. And then we started with Lift Every Voice and Sing. That in itself talks about the Black experience,
mhm.
all three verses, and actually we get to sing all three. Some people will get that later. Um, and so we started with that, and then we continued the program with the piece by Darren Atwater called "From Civil Wars to Civil Rights" that was with silent film. that talks about the experience of blacks from the Middle Passage um, through civil rights, and that went directly into the Seven Last Words. And so that ending was a very solemn one.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
can remember specifically at the end where we kind of darkened the stage and we kind of let it sit.
Yep.
And there
Very,
wasn't a dry eye. There was not a
very,
dry eye in
very
that
powerful.
audience, including
Yep.
myself. And then in the second half, we try to have more of a pick me up
Mm-hmm.
where we talk about the brilliance of some of our African American brothers who are doing amazing things to enrich their community. You know, Joseph Joubert, Hezekiah
Yes.
Savage, real dear friends of mine that were was so fortunate and humbled that they were able to be on that program. Joel
Mm-hmm.
Thompson, and several others that were able to come on that stage and do what they do
Yeah.
and show that we, as a people, are more than a statistic.
Yeah. Amen to that. And you said something that really I'm going to hit it, but I'm not going to ask you to delve into it because I know it can get super deep and there's some other things that I'd like for us to talk about before time runs out. But you called it unsterilizing, and I thought to myself, "Ooh, my God!" Like, and the fact that you were grappling with the idea of making sure that you didn't do that, which was so very important. I just want to know, where did the grapple come from? Did it come from this space of, I don't want to offend anyone? Believe it or not, sometimes we think like that, like we know that this is our story, but there's some that happens with us as a people, and individually, that just always feels like, I don't want other people to be offended, and yet we were offended for so many years and continue to be. Was it a self inflicted, imposed, I should say, fear of the unknowns? Just
Well,
what
yeah,
do you want to?
I mean, you hit it on the head. I mean, let's be 100. This is some heavy stuff,
Yeah.
and I don't think you can get to quote unquote we shall overcome unless we deal with um, treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered.
Oh!
So,
Hey, I'm sorry, that hit.
you
Yep.
know what I mean? So we got to wrestle with both,
Yeah.
and which is in the, in the motif of the entire piece, Lift Every Voice and Sing, you will find this constant grappling
Mm-hmm.
with the brokenness of the Black experience,
Yes.
but still the hopefulness to love a country that you hope will one day love you back.
My God. Have
So,
mercy, Jesus. And see, that's
so
what I'm
yeah,
saying. This is where we need to stop right there. Because
yeah, we could talk about that all day long.
all day long, it gets so very heavy. But I'm glad that you hit that and that I asked you that. Men and women are getting ready to celebrate 30 years of existence in the Washington and abroad as well. But this is the hub of where it exists. You know, what are you looking forward to most as you are the lead artistic director for Men and Women of the Gospel in the next few years, and looking back to where they were? How do you see yourself in that overall picture and the movement of men and women?
Well, quite honestly, I'm just glad to be able to tag along.
Ah,
Um, my father used to say something like, "Be humble, boy. A lot was done before you got here." And,
amen.
and so I'm learning a lot. I've learned a lot about the rich history of men and women of the gospel and how so many hearts, hands, minds, and our previous artistic directors have done so much to keep an organization. It's not every day where you see a choir of an existence for that long
Hmm.
without any break, without any division
Hmm.
of people who love to sing
Yeah.
and who want to sing gospel music and have carried that mantle for 30 years.
Yeah.
So I've learned a lot about the organization, its rich history, and a lot of that will be on display at the concert.
Oh, cool.
So I'm really excited about that. I don't want to give too much away, but there's going to be some faces that need to be celebrated some brains that need
Yeah.
to be celebrated, people who are still with us, and people who have passed on.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm most excited about, and excited about what this shift, um, what this will do for us in 2023 and 2024,
Hmm.
as we continue on this path that we're on, which is known as men and women of the gospel. How does um, that community,
Hmm.
um, that sense of community within this ensemble, because you have people from all over, continue in this vein, but also make it even more relevant and palatable for people who may not be religious, people
Yes.
who may not go to church every day,
Hmm.
but love the message and the
Hmm.
power and the transformative power of gospel music. So that's
Absolutely.
going to be interesting to see.
The concert is November the
20th.
20th, right? So tickets have been on sale. They're still on sale. You all need to go on and purchase your tickets from WashingtonPerformingArts.org. And is there can you get it from the Montgomery County Creative?
I believe so, yes, but definitely Washington Performing
Okay.
Arts.
Yeah, keep
Yeah.
it simple, y'all. Keep it simple. Just go to Washington Performing Arts.
WashingtonPerformingArts.org. Tickets are on sale 5 p.m. So when you go to church, get yourself some brunch and come right over to the Montgomery County Performing Arts Cultural and Performing Arts Center at
I
5
know that
p.m.
I will be in the house in the space for certain, supporting definitely the organization, but you all and that rich history. I mean, it's no joke that it has been impactful into the community. I want to go back to talking about school and these young people and the passion and the purpose. And before we do, because I'm not sure that a lot of people have seen you, I'm almost afraid to touch one of these buttons. Good Lord, have mercy, y'all. If we shut down, it's not my fault. I don't know what's going on. But I need you all to see T in action. This is a short clip, but it is powerful in its shortness. And he is working with. Is this your chamber ensemble? Is it what group is this?
I think the clip you're referring to is the advanced choir.
This is the advanced choir, and singing with mass. Let me tell you, I hated that whole singing with mass, but you all are executing things quite well. How long had you been working on this particular song? And the song is
I think the particular song you're referencing is "Sing Out Your Joy."
okay.
Um, this was probably earlier in the year. Yeah, I think about March. So we were still wearing masks.
Mhm.
Fortunately, now we're on a mask optional policy.
Yeah,
So we're happy about that as it relates to singing. For that particular piece, I think we had just come off of assessment, and we still wanted to fine tune some things because there were still performances on the calendar.
yeah,
So a lot of times, for those educators who know this, when you're in assessment, you get to assessment, you breathe a sigh of relief. Well, you don't want to let down because there's still more there.
absolutely.
And so you're still in education mode. And so we wanted to squeeze every ounce out of the song that we could possibly get from a musicality perspective. And so you can take a look.
Here we go.
Clap your hands, ye people, shout with the voice of praise. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Sing out your joy, sing out your joy, hallelujah.
All right. See you guys. Have a great weekend.
I mean, I'm just what I like about the video too is that you do all of this, and then all right, y'all. See you later. Have a good one.
It was a Friday, so I was like, "Hey, have a great weekend."
It was great. I love seeing the diversity in your group, and that's one of the things that I enjoyed so much about being at Eleanor Roosevelt High School, that you have it all in front of you. And we know that there are different sounds that come from different people, and yet there was such a purity and a depth that's in their sound. Is it hard to work with them to formulate things like vibrato? Do you tell them to pull back. I mean, what is that like when you're dealing with these young voices?
Well, yeah, the our school is fortunate to have over 180 languages represented.
Wow.
Yeah, and students from all different backgrounds, and
Yes, wow.
so it's incredible because it provides its own set of challenges,
Mhm.
but it also provides its own set of opportunities. And
Yes.
so each year, the choir gets to explore that journey and find out who they are and who they're going to be. My job is just to provide the tools and resources to allow them to shine in their best version of themselves. And
Yeah.
so, um, for me, as it is for our entire department, tone is across the board.
Mhm.
But before we even get into even talking about anything musical, I certainly stress discipline all day long.
Yeah.
In fact, the students write it on the board, 95% discipline, 5% talent,
Mhm.
um, and recognize that we celebrate your individuality because that
Mhm.
makes you who you are. So birthdays are big for us. Anytime somebody has a birthday, we
Yeah.
go crazy. Um, but we also recognize that when you walk through those doors, it becomes less about the individual and about how we move as one body and one sound and one
Yeah.
voice. And I'm
Yeah.
stealing from drumline, but you know what I mean. It's getting them to understand how to sacrifice for one another,
Mhm.
because when you build relationships, you'll be willing to sacrifice for one another. It goes beyond the music. It goes beyond understanding who the person is sitting next to you because they have a story.
I'm so glad you said that
Yeah,
because, I've been saying this a lot lately because it became my aha moment maybe a year ago, right? 29 years in the game. A year ago, it became my aha moment that these kids are not walking into our environments just about the music. Like we have to set up the safe space. We have to set up the environment of camaraderie of I used to love when and this always happened with sopranos and tenors because we're divas and oh well Miss Fallon I had my part, well did the person next to you have it, because if they didn't you didn't too.
right.
This is community, this is
Mhm.
oneness as you put it, and I just absolutely love that. And to say to the educator, what would you share with young educators, those who are just new into the game, or those who are even seasoned? Because sometimes, I hate saying it, some of my like super seasoned veteran teachers, they're afraid to learn something new.
Yeah,
What do
yeah.
you say to them about here we are in this new space in the world? Kids are more in tune, they're hip, they're woke to things. How are you as an educator? What can you do to identify better with your students so that the music, when you start to make it, is even more excellent?
Well, I mean, the Bible says a child shall lead them, and so um, in many ways, you have to kind of go back to what it was like when you were sitting in that seat,
Yeah,
nervous,
yeah,
excited, unsure.
yeah,
Um, you maybe knew one or two people in the class,
yeah.
um, but by your senior year, you've developed so much relationships and so much sweat equity,
Hmm.
um, that it has now seasoned you into the person you are today. And so we never stop learning. And so for the seasoned educators, I would say continue to learn, continue
Hmm.
to learn from others, continue to go to be professionally developed, um, continue to steal from others, continue to be a copycat. As a saying, it's nothing wrong with being a copycat if you copy the right cat. So, um, because we're all learning from one another. And
Yeah,
to our new educators, do not be afraid to make a mistake,
yeah.
and do not be afraid to say I don't know.
That's it.
Um,
That's
yeah,
important. Three
don't be afraid to
words.
say I don't know,
Mhm.
but I'll find the resource to help you.
Yes, absolutely. There it is. Those three words. In speaking to people, I I always feel a weird way. I don't know if you do, like when you go and you do workshops. I don't ever want people to feel that because I'm a facilitator that I know it more than you.
Mhm.
I'm, you know, I've been on the other side where I've been wondering what the heck is that facilitator talking about, and flip reverse roles. So I like to say I know a little bit of nothing and everything about nothing too. You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit about. I'm here learning just the same way
Mhm.
everybody else is, and those things are important. I don't know, and I will look up the resources for you. T, where do you go for the inspiration in all of what you do creatively? Because you're so multifaceted, and so there's a lot of things going on. Are you going to the spa? That's
Um, Mental health days are good. They really are.
amen.
We don't talk about that a lot in our
Mhm,
community, but
mhm.
they are. And learning um, to listen to your body,
Yeah,
um, and taking those mental health days because you can't pour from an empty cup. I've
right.
learned that. And as layered and dense as my schedule is, I always have to learn to actually take that time,
Mhm.
so that I can be the best version I can be for the people I have to serve. And
Yeah,
remember, it's about service. It's
yeah,
about service. And I think when we as educators and teachers and conductors recognize that that's our number one goal is to serve, then self comes out of the way,
yeah,
and humility takes over. And recognizing that by taking those mental health days, um, you're then being of service to yourself and others.
yes.
So that would be the first thing. Where do I go for inspiration? Um, in the morning
Mhm.
when I wake up,
Yeah,
um, on my knees,
yeah,
um, asking for another chance to get it right.
yeah, yeah,
Um, Recognizing that this is a gift that I've been given, and it is my responsibility to cultivate it and return it back to the Creator.
yeah.
Um, and less of me, more of you.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
Certainly, I'm not in the sphere to preach or indoctrinate my, you know, faith or beliefs, but I would hope that by the life I'm living,
Mhm.
and hope that by what I present every day, um, that students will find me um, a man of high integrity.
Yeah.
Um, I'm channeling my father now, who's no longer with us, but those words always resonate.
Mhm.
Your character, your talent may take you there, but your character will keep you there.
Absolutely.
Um, so those are the things. Certainly, I'm going to the word for inspiration, but tangibly, um, there's so many gifted brothers and sisters all over the globe, but certainly within our own area right here,
Mhm.
and constantly learning from so many people every single day and watching them. And
Yeah,
for those who are listening, yes, I am watching you.
yeah. Okay.
Yes, I am taking notes because
So
I
what's some
truly
of
believe
your inspirations, some of your muses for you?
uh, and specifically in the choral world.
Anything, anywhere, whatever world that they make you a better human being.
Wow. I have a good friend of mine. Her name is Reverend Dr. Judy Fentress Williams.
Mhm.
She is the professor of Old Testament at the Virginia Theological Seminary,
Oh my.
and she's also assistant minister to the pastor at Alfred Street. She is one um, that I highly admire,
Mhm.
um, and one that I go to for advice. Um, there are people who are older than me that I go to for advice as well, because I believe it is true that it is the fool who does not seek wise counsel. And
Mhm.
there are people who have been on this earth longer than me that can steer me in the right direction.
Yeah.
Um, and they don't necessarily have to be in the field of music, but
Right.
they've just been here.
Right.
And people who are going to tell you what you need to know as opposed to what you need to hear.
Yeah.
but specifically in the choral game, Jason's a real good friend of mine,
Mm-hmm.
and is an inspiration daily.
Yeah.
Um, s- the entire music staff at Alfred Street is an
Yeah.
inspiration,
Yeah.
starting with Joyce Garrett, who took a chance on a young, went behind the ears, breath smelling like Similac,
Oh my
um,
Lord.
kid right out of college, and mold
Right.
and shape me into the man and educator that I am today. And so I'm constantly learning, not just from a musicality standpoint, but um, how to treat people,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
um, and recognizing that people are people,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And
Period.
so leading with that, hopefully, everyone who comes in contact with me will speak more to my character first than anything musically.
Mm-hmm. What's on the horizon for you? Like, people are creating groups these days. T, what you doing? See,
Well, I mean, I'm doing a
questions that you don't want to like answer. Like, I don't know that laughter in there. What's going on?
yeah, that's like, well, I mean, I'm certainly involved in so many different, you know, facets. I'm wearing a lot of hats in this area. Um, but yeah, certainly there's always going to be a niche for programming things that people want to see.
Mm-hmm.
Um, championing new music, new ideas,
Mm-hmm.
while coupling that and honoring the traditions of the past that help speak to that informed idea. So there are things in the future, we're working on. I Am a Man too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so TOO,
Mm-hmm.
that will
Okay.
include some other incredible artists, both men and women,
Mm-hmm.
of the African diaspora. So looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Looking forward to being back at the Kennedy Center in the spring. The spring is going to be real packed. I know
Yeah.
Alfred Treat will be back at the Kennedy Center at Christmas, which has been a sort of a tradition that got put on hold since COVID. But
Yeah.
looking forward
Yeah.
to being back and bringing incredible artists to share their gifts and talents on that stage. And you never say never. I've been asked that question a bunch of times about my own professional ensemble, but I'm having a blast singing with Jason and the Jason Max Ferdinand Singers. Look for us in Cincinnati in February at the ACDA National Conference. A lot of us are itching to get back there because we hadn't had one in person since
Right.
2019. So there's a
Right.
lot happening, adjudicating all over. I'm serving in a few honors choirs, all state choirs, guest conducting,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of my favorite things is just working with several choirs. And I told
Right.
my wife if I can just go around all day, all week, all year, just working with choirs, I'm good.
You
So
could, and
yeah,
you
that's
can.
fun.
And you
That's fun.
can. It's not impossible. It's there, and maybe that's one of the niches that you just create.
Well,
You're
from your lips,
to God's ears and
God's
your
ears.
hands to do the work. Hallelujah, baklava.
Baklava.
Listen, so I'm looking at time, and time has just escaped us, and in part because I don't know what was going on with this crazy technology, but I'm so glad that we were able to have the conversation. T and I went to an event um, with Washington Performing Arts, and forgive me, y'all, I can't even remember the
I
name
can't
of
even
the
remember either.
embassy. It's
Yeah.
it's it's so terrible. But if someone from WPA is on and watching, please tell me the name of the embassy that had the world's best baklava.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we were stealing it well, we weren't really stealing it because I did
Oh
speak
no. Oh, we
to.
were stealing it. Oh, we were definitely stealing it.
Come on now, T.
Yep, we put it on the plate. You took the other plate and you put it on top of the plate. We had baklava in the car, and I don't even think it made it home. We
It
finished
did not.
the
It didn't make it
baklava
home. Like
in the car,
piled baklava on the. We piled it. It wasn't just like one or two
piled.
pieces. It was just that good. I wish that you all could share. So now every time, and as a matter of fact, I was over at the Amish market and I saw a restaurant and they were like baklava. All right. I
No.
wanted to take a picture and send it to you. I'm going to still do it because they have this sign up all the time, but it's not as good. It's simply not as good. But thank you. I really appreciate the fact there's so many things. I say this all the time. So much to talk about, and then you get going, and it just means to me that we need to do it again. We need to have
This
another
was a
go
blast. I had a
round
blast. This was
of
great.
this, and I'm so glad that you were able to be with us. November 20th, Men, Women of the Gospel celebrating their 30th anniversary at the Montgomery College's Creative and Performing Arts. 5 p.m. is the
5
concert.
p.m. Yep.
Tickets are still on sale at washingtonperformingarts.org. Go get your tickets. You all don't want to miss this concert. So this is the kickoff with so many beautiful nuggets that are to come.
Yep. And it's going to be
T,
featuring our former artistic directors, Stanley Thurston and Evelyn Simpson Carrington.
oh
So it's
Lord,
going to be a lot of rich history and music throughout the past 30 years that we're going to try to squeeze into that 90-minute
absolutely.
program.
Can you
Looking forward
imagine?
to it.
It's going to be dynamic, especially with the three of y'all on stage. My God. There's a question that asked, is there a streaming option for the concert? Do you know?
That I do not know. I do not think there is a
Right.
streaming option.
Yeah, I would probably venture to say no, because when you stream, now
Right.
you're talking about some costly
Hmm.
things that have to be included. And so no, the best thing to do is go and get your ticket, and if you can't make it there, you know somebody that's going, have them sit in the corner. No, just kidding, y'all. Just kidding. I was gonna say I'm lying. Don't do that. Don't do that. All right. But I hope that you all can make it there. Peace and blessings to you all. This was special. You know, the music's behind the music. What we're going to end up doing is sometimes rebroadcasting these. So if you know somebody that needs to hear this, needs to just listen in, then please let them know about this. You can find us on YouTube and our Facebook. Um, Page of the muses behind the music. Until we see each other again, peace and blessings.